Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the live edition of the Frisco Report. Got Mike with me. We got the news of the 2020 season. Mike, what's going on, buddy?
How are you doing, sir? How are you doing, Joe?
We're doing good. So yeah, man. So we reached the deadline. The franchise tag extension. A lot of teams around the league are going through this. Having the same issues that the Cowboys were. Unable to sign star players. But for the Cowboys, you're talking about the franchise quarterback potentially. Let's get right to it, Mike. Are you surprised a long-term deal did not get um, hashed out today?
I'm very surprised, Joe. There's only quarterbacks in NFL history that's played a season on a tag. Drew Brees did it in '05 with the San Diego Chargers, and Kirk Cousins did it in 16 and 17 with Kirk Cousins. Both of them found new teams. Drew Brees went to New Orleans Saints. Kirk Cousins, as we all know, was with the Minnesota Vikings. And this right here, I mean, history shows, if quarterbacks get franchise tag, they play on that, they have a new team next year. So I'm super surprised. But I don't, Joe, I don't know if you believe this or not. I don't buy the hype that it was just years, 4 years, 5 years. I don't believe that hype, Joe.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. So it's what it is. It's what it is. So we got a couple of comments coming in here. Um, we got Eagles trolls in the chat box. I don't know why Eagles fans are in the comment. They love us. They want to be us, I guess. But man, yeah. So no extension. I talked about it yesterday in my other live stream, and here we are. So went over the various scenarios. Cowboys wanted the 5-year deal, and from what I'm reading, Dak Prescott didn't want to deal with any club options, and that's what the Cowboys have in place with the Zeke deal, the Marcus Lawrence deal, Amari Cooper deal. And what that means is, they gave these guys extensions, but they have these little options where they can escape, they can hit that ejection button and get out of the contract. Dak Prescott wants to be locked in and not have an ejection button in his contract. So that's why he wanted the 4. And, he wants to ball out and probably get a bigger contract. Well, that 4-year deal, you have to think that with McCarthy, you're betting on yourself, right? So I think that's what he wanted. But this is a departure from the Cowboys. They've gotten a lot of these deals done before, and this is one that they didn't get done for the quarterback position. What does this say about Dak Prescott's future here, Mike? What's your opinion on that?
I, you know, it all starts after the Cowboys lost to that playoff games against the LA Rams because he was eligible for a contract extension right after that game because the CBA agreement says fulfill 3 years, then you're eligible for an extension. So they had till that time in 2019 to get this done. They were super close in September. Cowboys felt really great in September about getting that deal done. Dak and his team didn't sign that deal. And here we are now. When Dak signed that franchise tag, Joe, he gave any leg that he had up away because it's a win for the Cowboys. They have their guy at least for another year. For Dak Prescott's future, Joe, how salty is Dak and his team here moving forward in 2021? Can they even trust the Cowboys to even get that extension, even if Dak has 30 to 35 to 40 touchdowns and he goes to a playoff game?
Yeah, yeah. There's going to be some collateral damage here between the organization and the agent. That you always hear this narrative that is it Dak? Is it the agent? Is it the Cowboys? For me, I've always have said that it's the Cowboys, and just you look at the history of the contracts; they all have been last minute. Lawrence, these guys, they got it within days of or the day before the franchise tag, but they were able to hash it out. Here with Dak Prescott, you got a different deal here. Now, granted, this is a bigger, decision for your Cowboys moving forward. You have a new head coach in place here with Mike McCarthy. Is this the most logical deal for both sides? Is this more of a okay? We got Mike McCarthy here. We don't necessarily want to handcuff him to Dak Prescott if this isn't really the guy for his program, or maybe he's not really into him. I wonder if this kind of protects him from this type of scenario where, oh man, we signed him 5 years or 4 years, whatever, and McCarthy just isn't happy with the quarterback play, and we're stuck with the contract. So, what do you think about that, Mike? Do you think Mike McCarthy has a little bit of a say in this?
I think they do. And I've been on the record for saying this since last year. And especially when they signed Mike McCarthy to be the new head coach, right? Let Dak play under a true West Coast system. Kellen Moore's going to his second year as an offensive coordinator with a legit offensive-minded coach like Mike McCarthy, and see where it takes you. That's the gamble. Yes, Dak gambled on himself last year, but the gamble is, how do you adapt? Because we know what Jason Garrett offense was. The receivers were route limited, a lot of check downs. Yes, he aired it out. Pro Football Focus has him rated as one of the best deep passes in the National Football League. But what can you do under a true everything's open, everything's on the table? How do you read defenses? How do you audible out of things? And Dak going to his fifth year, learning under Mike McCarthy, I think it's the best case for Dak. And maybe there's nothing sour between Dak's team and the Cowboys, and they can trust each other in 2021. But I think this scenario this year is the perfect example. Because what if he doesn't play well in Mike McCarthy's system?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's a really good gamble here, Joe, for both sides.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm not surprised by this by any means. Like I said, it is a departure from what the Cowboys have done in the past. But I think the Cowboys are more in protection mode. Yes, they're gonna make Dak Prescott jump through hoops again. I do feel that part of it. Because anybody that is working right now, you bust your butt, and then you go to your boss for, hey man, can you give me a raise? Let's go another year of busting your butt, and then we'll talk about a raise. So from that point of view, I totally feel it. I myself tend to feel that way myself with my daytime job. So sometimes you gotta take a step back and look at it from their point of view, from the player's point of view, and I totally feel that. But yeah, Mike, I totally agree. You got to see. You got to see it. Unfortunately, you do have to see it here. You got a new coach. So you got to see it. Thanks, everybody that's in the chat box, the chat room. Appreciate everybody. Skeptical fan. Appreciate you. Dak will ball. Yeah, so Dak Prescott, that's the thing we talked about. Dak Prescott, he really does have the leverage here at the end of the day, because he can come out and have a hell of a season. You look at the weapons. He had almost 5,000 yards passing last season with mediocre coaching. Now you get the quarterback whisperer, Mike McCarthy. You get somebody that's going to be able to utilize Tony Pollard, out of the passing game. Maybe use him in the slot, an H-back, this kind of thing. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Blake Jarwin, and hopefully you get improvement on that offensive line. So it's a risk. It's a risk by the Cowboys, because this may get too dang expensive. But if Dak Prescott gets us to the playoffs, and let's knock on wood here that the NFL season is able to go through and get all the way to the Super Bowl. All right, guys, that's what we want. In that case, if he does it, if he gets into the conference game, man, pay the man. All right. That's enough for me, and but you're still going to have that faction of fans, Mike. We talk about this, right? Like, just like with Romo, a lot of people hated him, right? A lot of people loved him. And do you feel that's where Dak is at right now, Mike?
There is a side, and I think it's with every team. It's just not as glorified.
Yeah.
Because the Cowboys are so glorified, whether it's any network, any podcast, anything. Like you started the show with Eagle trolls in the comments section. It's the Cowboys. Everybody wants to keep up with the Cowboys and keep up with the Joneses, matter of fact. But it's all about it's all about Dak Prescott and his stats at the end of the day. He was in a rookie year, Joe, or not a rookie year. He was at a contract year, Joe. And let me ask you this: how great do you think he actually played last year?
He had his moments, and that's where a lot of the argument is coming into place. I just saw Dan Orlovsky. Can't stand the analyst, but he's going to break it down from his point of view. As far as he struggled against better teams, and the fact was he did, but there's the rest of the team, right? There's the defense that fell, the offense, the play calling. So that argument to me is a little it doesn't hold up too much. This is the NFL. It's hard to beat any team on any given Sunday. You always hear about that, but it's a tough deal, man. It's a tough deal because you're going to have everybody wants to paint a narrative, and that's just what it is. I could paint a narrative to say that we didn't win because Zeke Elliott was not good last year, and I'm going to blame everything on him. I could paint a narrative to say we weren't any good because Amari Cooper didn't play his full potential in some of the games. Any narrative, anything can be painted, and excuse me, that's not something I believe. I'm just giving examples, okay? But
yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, can I give you some stats though, Joe? With Dak Prescott in a contract year,
go for it.
Dak Prescott had 4 games last year where he threw 0 touchdowns. Eagles Week 16. It was also the Patriots game, the Saints game, and the New York Jets game. We can argue the Jets game all day long. That's the game Amari Cooper, threw himself out of the game because of his leg injury, his ankle injury, whatever was going on there. But the rest of it, Eagles went on. They were the better team Week 16. They went on and went to the playoffs. Obviously, they lost, so it was all for nothing. We got CeeDee Lamb because we didn't throw any touchdowns in that game, But Rook, I believe if you're in a contract year, you have to ball out. You have to say why, I want this money. There was 2 games where he just threw 1 touchdown, and that was against the Eagles again and the Bears, where Mitchell Trubisky looked like he was something special. And we can argue this all day, and I'm not even trying to argue. I'm just throwing some stats out there. I don't think the Cowboys and Brian Broaddus put out after the season ended that Jerry Jones was questioning, is Dak really our guy? And that's why I have a hard time with the whole 4-year, 5-year shenanigans, Joe. Dak, yes, he played great, and he had 26 touchdowns going into Week 17. He got to 30 because he scored 4 against the Washington Redskins in Week 17. Elite quarterbacks, you look at when they're getting paid, they've thrown 30 touchdowns somewhere in their career. And I think that's why the Cowboys were struggling. That's why we are here now, 3:15 Central Time with no long time extension.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an argument on either side. So, and you're going to see it for the next couple of days, weeks, for the rest of the season. Shout out to Flat Matrix. Appreciate the donation, man. Appreciate everybody in the comments. Let us know. Is there going to be problems here for the Cowboys in the future? Are they going to let him walk? Are they going to franchise tag him again? Now, that is the other option. This could be drama 2.0. Okay, let's say Dak Prescott does ball out, has an amazing season, and the Cowboys franchise tag him again. Okay, we could be here all over again. How much would that get paid? $37.7 million. That's a lot of money. So Dak wins in this scenario again. Okay, they can go again the 3rd year and franchise tag him a 3rd time if they want. But at this point, all these tags are getting exponentially bigger and bigger, and you're talking, big time money. So what's your gut feeling on what might happen here, Mike? Do you think that this could be hashed out after 2020, or do you think that is another option that they might pull out their butt?
I don't know, because 37, if they're Jane Slater reported that there's $33 to $35 million offer on the table.
Yeah.
Okay. In NFL terms, $2 million is a lot of money on the cap. Okay. And that $2 million could shy them away. Dak could potentially, don't hang me for this, guys. He could potentially be playing for another team if they can't get that long-term extension done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a conversation that we're going to have. And like I said in my stream last night, get ready for the Aaron Rodgers conversation. All right. Aaron Rodgers is not getting along with the coach over there. There's a relationship with Mike McCarthy. And like I said, I'm not advocating this, but it's going to be a storyline that's going to rear its ugly head. And especially if there are issues with the offense and the Cowboys not playing well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Mike McCarthy did draft a quarterback, Ben DiNucci. He has potential, but still raw. A late round pick. These are players that you have to groom, right? And you have Andy Dalton. That's not somebody you want to go with long term. So for the Cowboys, they have a lot of choices on the table themselves. But we've gone through this before, guys. If you don't have a legitimate quarterback, then you're going to be wasting a lot of these players' careers. We saw the Cowboys waste a career of Dez Bryant, of Flozo Adams, left tackle. Just the list goes on and on. You go all the way back. Dexter Coakley, heck of a linebacker. Dat Wynn. You just have a lot of good players, and the quarterback play you can't get over the hump. You can't mess with the quarterback position. So, they really got to think this out moving forward. But Mike, the good thing is we do have him for 2020. Okay, and you have to be excited about Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, and all the weapons that we just threw out there. I mean, if you can't get things going with Mike McCarthy and these weapons, then there's going to be a problem there. But I don't think that'll be the issue.
One thing, Joe, because a lot of people talk about, well, Jimmy G got his bag when he didn't deserve it. Kirk Cousins got his bag when he didn't deserve it. Well, Kirk Cousins got franchise tag 2 years, then got his bag. We can argue this all day. Kirk Cousins just took a pay cut. Garoppolo was in the Super Bowl. When has the Philadelphia Eagles really done anything, right? Patrick Mahomes just won his Super Bowl. And then Jared Goff, the Rams just lost their turnover this year. They just lost a lot of great players because of signing Jared Goff the way they did. I think the Cowboys look at that and say, all right, because we don't even know what the salary cap is going to be for next year. With the COVID stuff, with no fans, that's a lot of revenue hit on the cap for next year, Joe. So I think there's way more things that play in this than, like I said, the 4 to 5 year extension agreement.
Yeah. Now, for the Cowboys' point of view, as far as player acquisition for this season, this does kind of handcuff you because you did write this check. Dak did sign this contract, so we're on the books for $31.4 million. We don't have much room left to make any sizable acquisitions. This basically kills any Jamal Adams dreams. Okay, unless you want to manipulate and cut some players, and I'm talking about players that you really can't cut. But that dream is probably over for those faction of fans that want Jamal Adams here. That's over. Okay, this franchise tag and no long-term extension, it kills that. Okay, Jadeveon Clowney, I know some fans wanted him on here. What's he looking for? He said maybe $9 and $10 million. The Cowboys might be able to massage that and get a player of that caliber in here. But other than that, you don't expect any big blockbuster trades out there.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not, because Dak's not locked up, so there's no guarantee at the quarterback position. I don't want to bring Andy Dalton into this. He already said he knows his place. He's backing up Dak Prescott. But he also said for this year, we could talk about that later on, maybe next offseason, right? But I don't know. You can't the draft equity at this point in time and how big the draft is. It's important. Yes, the NFL wants teams to go make big splashes and trade this and trade that, but if you want a legit football team for the future and now, you got to be smart with how you allocate draft picks, Joe.
Yeah. Flat Matrix has a great comment here. Do or die for Dak. Must win the NFC East and go deep in the playoffs. Boom. I think that hits it right on the head. As much leeway as we gave Garrett, as this is you're on the hot seat, do or die, get us to the conference championship or you're out of here. He couldn't do it. He's out of here. Dak Prescott, right? Yeah, for sure. This is it is do or die. This is a great comment. You definitely have to win the NFC East, and you do need to get past the divisional round. No more of this divisional round and getting knocked out business. Let's go in here and dominate, and let's put fear into teams again. Like it's been decades that the Cowboys haven't done that. We spent 10 years under Garrett, mediocrity, too finesse, unprepared teams that you knew. Okay, when Garrett had a team in the playoffs, in the back of your head, you were like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we, bumble this up, right? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the defense took a crap. Look at that Rams game. When we played the Rams, I don't know, man. In the back of my mind, I was just like, I love that we're in the playoffs, but I knew that Garrett wasn't going to have the chops to take that game over there in LA with the Rams. I knew it wasn't going to happen. And as a fan, you want to have that confidence, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. When was the last time as a Cowboys fan you had legit confidence that we're going to beat this team, we're going to beat you, we're going to hit you in the mouth and beat the crap out of you?
It was, for me,
it's been a long
2007 when they went to Cabo. I believed we were going to beat those Giants, man.
That was a heartbreaker. That was one of the worst losses, and that was more of the same, more of the accountability. And they would talk about that. We want to hold people accountable, this and that. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't. Yeah, that is the news of the day, Mike. The Dak Prescott long-term extension didn't happen. $31.4 million. And I agree. I'm looking at the comments here. Let's see what everybody's got going on here. We got one here, Giants. But you guys haven't been deep in the playoffs for 25 years, hoping Dak to do something that only Aikman did the last 25 years seems to be unfair. It's yeah. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
It's expectation versus reality, right? Dak Prescott fell to our lap in the fourth round. He came out in 2016. We know what happened that year. Then he kind of got stale last couple of years, and we know what happened last year. Yeah. This year's a bit different. We have a new head coach who has probably one of the best winning records right up next to Andy Reid, right? He's a Super Bowl winner, and Dak, we know what he can do at a high level. The problem is, how can we get him there consistently to get to that Super Bowl? I'm not comparing to Aikman. I'm not comparing him to Staubach. I want Dak to be Dak. I want Dak to be his own element. Where when you talk about Dak, it's like, oh yeah, he was way different than Aikman and Staubach and all these other Romo. You know what I mean? I want him to have his own stamp. And yeah, it's the expectation as a Cowboys fan of setting the bar high, because we're the number one franchise in the world. The expectation's automatically there. Yeah. And I don't think you're right. It's unfair to do that. But I think as Cowboy fans, we want Dak to have his own element, his own legacy, not comparing him to other people at all, because that's not fair at all. But it's time for Dak to take that next step. New head coach, same offensive coordinator, legit weapons, and the defense, in my opinion, is going to be a lot better than when it was probably the past 10 years. So I think Dak has a legitimate shot to write his own legacy, and it's time for him to do it right now.
Yeah, they really do have for Dak. Like I said, he still has all the leverage here. He's got better weapons. He's got a better, offensive minded coach here, and you have to think that, like you said, the defense is going to be better. You know, I feel good what they did in the middle of that defense. Gallimore, bringing in McCoy, Poe can give you some good plays here and there. And hopefully they can get something out of Tristan Hill. But that middle of that defense is really what's going to really let your linebackers really roam and feast. The Wolf Hunter's going to be back. Jalen Smith with that speed, sideline to sideline. They're going to be able to eat. They're not going to get blown up at the second level anymore. That's what we need in mind. We keep talking about needing the Baconators. We finally got them. And can you imagine what these linebackers are going to do now that we do have Baconators? I mean, they were already really, really good with this weak inside of the defense. Now you bolster it. We might be looking at 2 All-Pros, 2 Pro Bowlers right there with LVE and Jalen Smith. I really do feel that. I really do feel that. Carolina Cowboy has got a good comment here. Ridiculous to put that standard on Dak. Deep run in the playoffs, or that's it. When the Cowboys never got that far with Romo, but Romo got his money with 1 playoff win. Yeah. I can definitely hear, that side of it as well. And, it's just, it is, it's all about the star right here. It's one of the most recognized franchises, like you said, Mike. And whether it's fair or not, it really is the expectations of a storied franchise. Talk about the Cowboys. You talk about the New York Yankees, the LA Lakers. These types of organizations that they're just the biggest organizations out there. They're the teams that everybody loves to hate. Everybody loves to hate the Yankees. Everybody loves to hate the Lakers, and everybody loves to hate the Cowboys. So it's because we like to win, And then is it the fans, that our expectations are too high? Well, it's what we want, I don't know. It's hard to say.
I get Carolina Cowboys comment, Joe. I do,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day. And he brought up Romo's contract, right? And that's why Romo was so divided. You know what I'm saying? Is because a lot of people loved Romo and a lot of people hated Romo. Yeah. It's almost the same boat, except the difference is Romo got his money. And what did it amount to? Nothing. And do the Cowboys want to repeat that mistake again? Are they? And the question that only the Cowboys know, and I'm talking about Steven, Jerry, and Will McClay, is, are they truly sold on Dak Prescott? That is the question. Because if they were truly sold on him, the deal would have been done after that LA Rams playoff game. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That is a legitimate argument. Take out whether you love or hate them. At the end of the day, it's the Cowboys are making this decision. It's not the fans. If it was the fans' decision and there was a vote, they probably would want to get this just out of the way and get it done with. But Stephen Jones, I think, is really the one that is steering this. And Jerry Jones is getting up there in age. I mean, he's creeping up, and I don't even know what he is now. He's probably like 89 or 90. I don't know. He's up there, but we've already seen kind of like this passing of the torch with the contracts. He's given a lot of that, almost all of it, to
77.
Yeah. 77, right? So that is getting up there, and you can see him kind of definitely passing the torch to Stephen Jones, and Stephen Jones working with Will McClay. I think this is somebody that you have to really nail down, in the Cowboys organization is Will McClay. Especially with a lot of the things that the NFL is doing now to get promotions and that kind of thing, to front office opportunities and that kind of thing. They have to be careful because Will McClay, if a good enough,
I'm not sure I understand.
If a good enough position comes up, maybe he'll want to take that position. You know, what if the Texans come out of here and say, "Hey, we're tired of letting Bill O'Brien screw up our trades and, and make all these mismanaged decisions. We're going to pay Will McClay a bunch of money and bring him here to the Texans." You know, and the Cowboys don't have anybody in place. They don't have somebody in the wings that could take over Will McClay. So that's somebody that they really got to watch out for, you know, moving forward. But what is your feeling on this, Mike? If the season is affected by COVID, right? If there's a shortened season, how do you evaluate that again? Do you do the franchise tag again? I almost feel that you would be compelled to do another franchise tag if there's some sort of you know, issue with the season where it doesn't go all the way through, you know, and it's shortened. Maybe it's even stopped. I think that really, you know, can really put a lot of teams in a bind. But what do you think about that, Mike?
That's a really good question, Joe. Really good question, and I think you would have to franchise tag him again, because did you get a good look at Dak Prescott? I think if it's more than 10 games, running on the 10 to 12 games, and they really like him, they like what he did in those 10 or 12 games, then I think they'll extend him. But if it's 6 games, there's no way they'll extend him, because if they didn't believe in him right now to give him the contract extension, I don't think 6 games is going to change their mind.
Yeah, that's the thing. So let's hope, everybody. Let's knock on wood, everybody, in unison. Let's go. Let's knock on that wood. Yeah, we got to get through this stuff, man. This stuff is just ravaging the whole country, and I just don't want football to be bothered, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, I talked about this yesterday, Mike. I talked about the NBA, right? These guys are getting the swabs up their nose up to 20 times, and their season has yet to start. They don't start until what, the end of July?
Something like that. Yeah. We got training camp approaching too here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So the training camp for the Cowboys is coming up, and we're probably going to see this type of issue as well, where they're getting constantly nasal swabbed. And I really do worry about, you know, nasal infections or some sort of problem coming from this, where you get sidelined with some sort of infection. So I think depth is something that the Cowboys have really done well. You know, in the offseason, you do have Andy Dalton. We know Ezekiel Elliott already got COVID, so he has the antigens, so the antibodies. So in theory, he shouldn't get knocked out of the season, you know, but you're kind of seeing people here and there saying that they're getting positive tests later down the line. So I don't know. We'll see how this thing plays out, how it affects the season. But we do know one thing: Dak Prescott is here, $31.4 million. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Jane Slater just tweeted out 25 seconds ago, I'm told quarterback Dak Prescott was involved at the last minute in efforts to get a long-term deal done, but up against the 3 p.m. deadline, there was no deal in place. So Dak Prescott kind of pushed his agent aside there and said, hey, what are we doing here? Let's get something done. So maybe it's not as salty as this might play out, but Dak Prescott did have to get involved. And again, it makes sense to me that Dak Prescott's getting involved here. It takes two sides to tangle. How many offers came out that Cowboys offered Dak's team a contract and nothing was done? It was immediate turn down. And it's a shame Dak Prescott had to get involved. You know, it's what he pays an agent for. But here we are now. Like you said, he's on the 31.4 franchise tag.
And that's an interesting tidbit there from Jane Slater. Shout out to her. She's my favorite, you know, reporter for the Cowboys. You know, you're not going to get clickbaited with some of these other, you know, quote reporters out there. So Jane Slater, thank you for that bit of news. And yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, we did hear that about DeMarcus Lawrence, where he said, hey, you know, I'm going to pick up the phone and talk to Steven or Jerry, right? And they got that deal done. DeMarcus Lawrence got paid. And, you know, you're seeing these numbers increase. So in another season or two, that DeMarcus Lawrence deal is going to look really good on paper. It's going to be some savings for the Cowboys. But for Dak Prescott, the potential to really earn a lot of money is up there. You know, you have the Deshaun Watson He's going to be up for a contract coming up here. Lamar Jackson, big trust. He's going to be up for contract, and even Josh Allen, from the Buffalo Bills. So there's going to be more of these big contracts coming up, and I'm sure these other quarterbacks are going to have similar types of issues, but I really don't see it. With Lamar Jackson, you have him there. He's been working with the coach there for a couple of seasons now. So there's not a new administration there that he has to deal with. So Lamar Jackson, I expect another big contract. And Deshaun Watson, I expect a big contract from him as well. He might get something crazy big because Bill O'Brien is there making these crazy deals. He might poke those eyes out and come out with a $50 million contract.
You never know with Bill O'Brien, right?
Yeah, you never know, and that's what this deal is. It's you got to watch yourself with the market, because these agents and quarterbacks, they're looking at this market. They want to get fair market value. They're not going to come out in here and say, "Hey, you just give me the minimum," And I understand that some of these older star quarterbacks like a Drew Brees or Tom Brady, they're not of that type of thinking. But this is a different era. This is a different era of player. You're getting, when you talk about Brees and Phillip Rivers and these guys were born in a different age. Just the thinking and things like that. And you're getting different. As this thing goes on, you're getting different eras of ideas, of what you want, and more, and we see more and more of this. It's not something that's really going to ever go away. Everybody wants to get that cheddar.
Yeah, and let me ask you this, Joe. So Cowboys went on an extension. Oh, thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you, Lavelle. Appreciate that, man.
So, Cowboys went on this extension spree, right? Jalen Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence,
La'el
Collins went on this extension spree, right? Did that save any type of culture in the locker room? Because now players are looking like, oh, crap, Cowboys didn't pay this man. We believe he's a baller. Or is it, hey, we got paid. Let's calm down here. Dak will get his bread, right? So how does the locker room balance this? Because guys got paid and their franchise quarterback didn't.
Yeah, and for me, I don't think it'll affect it, because I think a lot of this is. I think the quarterback position is that one position that it is a lot different. This you sink or swim with your quarterback, right? And I think the players that have been there, Cooper. That offensive line, Zach Martin, and these guys, they know what they have. Tyron Smith, they know what they're blocking for. They know that they give Dak Prescott enough time. They give him that extra 2 seconds. When you draft a player like Zach Martin, you get the extra 2 seconds of blocking, like Jerry Jones talked about. He's able to dissect and make moves. Okay, a mobile quarterback, durable. He has a lot of upside still, because I don't feel that he has plateaued. I don't feel that Dak Prescott has hit his ceiling yet. I think there's still some untapped potential there. And I think this is really where you're going to see the quarterback whispering of Mike McCarthy really elevate this more, and the potential to really up that number for Dak Prescott it's in his favor. Like I said, he has a lot of leverage in this. If he balls out, and we all do expect that he will, then that number will go up for sure.
That's a great answer, Joe. And I don't think it will cause a concern in the locker room, because you have a lot of leaders in there. But, talk is cheap. Leaders have to go out there and play to a standard of a captain patch role, right? And I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It's because, Dak really believed that the extension would have been done, a long time ago. And here we are now. Dak's brother just tweeted that, there's a reason why he wasn't a Cowboys fan growing up. And when they drafted Dak, he became a little more of a fan, but who knows how much longer he'll be cheering for him. And that's Dak Prescott's brother. So family's already not liking the Cowboys. Will that wear off on Dak? You know what I mean? But I'm not going to get tied into a grown man's. Like if my brother was playing in the league, I wouldn't tweet something out like this at all. Because it's not my place. It's not my business. I'm not playing football. You know what I mean? But I mean, will family have any say so in this, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, family will always be in the ear of somebody. You know, whether it's hey, you need to ask for more money or hold out, or go ahead and just see if they'll let you walk or ask for a trade. I mean, you're definitely going to have those advisors, whether it's your agent, whether it's a family member that you trust. And I'm pretty sure that relationship with his brother is pretty close. Dak Prescott did lose a brother here in the offseason, tragically. So, man, I expect Dak to do well, man. I mean, he puts it on the line for the Cowboys. He dedicates a lot of his games to his mother. I'm pretty sure this season will be for his brother and his brother that passed away. And it's going to be good. I think we're going to see fireworks, guys. I'm not really worried about it. I know a lot of us are kind of breaking down what this means, what can happen. And it is,
So another tweet by Jane Slater to follow up on the first one that I quoted from her. She said the deal included a $50 million signing bonus and $70 million over the first 2 years. I'm told Dak Prescott wanted this deal to get done, but it was too late. The deadline hit.
This is sounding more like a bumbling from the agent. From the last two tweets that Jane Slater has put out, this sounds a little bit like a bumbling by the agent. We'll see. And if that's the case, could Dak Prescott be firing his agent here in the next couple of hours or in the next couple of days? It'll be interesting because that definitely doesn't sound good right there.
No, not at all. And I think the agent played a role in this. I mean, and this is what agents do for players, right? They charge them a crap ton of money to represent them. But I go back to DeMarcus Lawrence when his agent was like throwing this big fit and told DeMarcus Lawrence to tell the Cowboys, trade me. Remember that?
Yeah.
And DeMarcus Lawrence, I don't want to be traded. DeMarcus Lawrence talked to the Jones family and got the deal done. Yeah. Agents need to know their place. They're there to represent a player, not to tell them what to do in life. Because at the end of the day, they're going to get paid. They're going to take monies from these players that they're representing anyway. So mind your business, put in your mouthpiece, and get to work for these guys.
That's definitely what this is sounding like. I mean, those two. That's interesting. And even going back to Zeke's, Rocky Arsenal, Marshall Faulk meddling in there. Get out of here, Marshall. You're not even that Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner are the biggest Cowboys haters, and then this guy wants to get involved with Zeke. That drove me nuts, man.
Yeah.
And I know Zeke is a fan of Marshall Faulk, but man, I can't stand when these analysts, they're super, super biased. And Kurt Warner is definitely one of the worst ones of them. And Marshall Faulk,
Yeah. It's a shame, and if Dak wanted that deal done, but it was too late, that's crazy. We could be talking about something different. But, but he can grow that money even more, with a great year under Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore. I really think Dak, to gamble, this is where you want to gamble, because that $70 million in 2 years could be now easily $90 million in 2 years. That $50 million signing bonus could be, I don't know, $60 million signing bonus now. Now's the time to go out there and go ball and fire your agent. That's just my take.
Yeah. Looks like we're going to probably be hearing some more news from this agent thing. Dak Prescott wanted to get involved here at the last minute. It's too bad that this thing looked like it came down to the 25th hour, like I said. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. But, am I surprised? No, not surprised at all. This is, people forget, this isn't a family-owned business. This is the National Football League, and it's probably one of the biggest businesses in the world. And some things just happen that you like, and there's stuff like this that a lot of fans don't like, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. You know, and I expect Dak Prescott to continue to be professional. He hasn't shown anything otherwise, so you know, I know that some people might think that he's going to hold a grudge or whatever, but if he wanted to do that, I think he would have, skipped a lot of the offseason stuff and not signed that franchise tag. I mean, that was the talk before this. Is Dak Prescott going to sign the franchise tag?
Yeah.
Is he going to demand some sort of trade? He didn't go that route. He went ahead on good faith and said, "I'm going to sign this franchise tag, and we're going to go from there." So that's where we're at, guys. Dak Prescott, 2020 season, franchise tag, and that's where we're at, guys. But Mike, I think that's it for this live edition post-deadline contract talk for Dak Prescott. Any final thoughts before we cut out?
No, but there's going to be a war with anti-Daks and pro-Daks, and guys, take it easy. He's still your quarterback at the end of the day. There's nothing to argue about. I was the anti-Dak running a marathon trying to argue points, but at the end of the day, it's pointless. And I quit doing that. But he's your quarterback for the 2020 season. Don't wish bad on him because it's your freaking football team. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I want Dak to exceed. I want him to get a bigger breadbasket than that $50 million sign-on bonus. You know what I mean? And he's going to do it, and I think he will do it next year. Let's go win a Super Bowl on a franchise tag quarterback.
Well said. Well said. That's where we're at. And that's it. Dak Prescott will be the quarterback. Let's stay positive about the weapons we have, and you have to feel good about the NFC East. You have a Washington football team that doesn't even have their act together on and off the field. The Eagles, Giants, you got to feel good about it. You got to feel good about it, guys. But Mike, let everybody know where they can find you if they haven't already.
Absolutely. Dallas Cowboy Football News right here on YouTube. Dallas Cowboy Football News on Facebook. DCF News 1 on Twitter, guys. Give me a mention, give me a DM, give me a comment, whatever it takes to get that conversation started. But you have to start it. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, that's what it is. We appreciate you guys checking out the Frisco Report, our live edition of the Dak Prescott Deadline. So make sure you follow us on Twitter, the Frisco Report, and that's at the Frisco Report. And you can hit up www.thefriscoreport.com. We have merch there, and we have all sorts of information there, Cowboys draft information, the schedule, links to Michael's YouTube page and mine, Cowboys blog. But that's it, guys. We appreciate everybody that jumped on here on the live stream. Appreciate everybody, all the donations, all my members. We do appreciate that. If you catch this on the replay, leave your comments. What do you think about the extension? Are you surprised? Are you upset, disappointed? Are you pumped about the 2020 season with Dak Prescott and all these weapons? Let us know in the comments, and we'll catch you for the next one, guys. Peace out, everybody. Peace.